What's going on, everybody? I decided tonight that it was time to tell you all a story I've been holding back on. It's not no folklore story or anything like that. It has to do with folklore. It's something happened to me when I was young. It's buried on my mind now since it happened. I'm 53 years old. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this off my chest. The demeanor's a little different tonight because I'm kind of fighting wanting to talk about this. I've never told nobody except my wife about this story. Sorry, I'm not out walking around or got a good view of anything tonight. It's dark and it's pouring the rain out here, so I'm just kindly sitting right here going to tell you all something that happened to me when I was young. I've carried with me all my life. This story's hard to tell. People think you're crazy when you start talking about stuff like this. So I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just going to tell y'all. I feel like I know most of you all anyway. So, where do I start? The first time I saw it, I guess I was 4 or 5 years old. I didn't know what I was looking at. You see, this thing looked like a woman. It looked like my mother. Except the face was deformed. The teeth were black. Maybe even on the verge of sort of being fangish. Maybe they didn't look right. They just didn't look right. Wild looking eyes, curly black hair. Like I say, looked like my mother and her sisters. Except there was something definitely wrong. The first time I saw this thing that I remember, I know I had seen it more times than I cannot remember because of how familiar it was to me every time I saw it. But I do remember about 4 times. It comes to my mind. I remember we moved in our new house at the time. This was in 73, 74. And we had a lot of relatives come by and visit. I was just young. I was in a swing set. And I remember all the cousins and, I'm the youngest one of all my first, second cousins. They're all walking down this road in front of my house. I can see them from where I'm at in the swings. And then about 30 foot in behind them was this thing walking. And they seemed not to notice it or could see it. But I could see it. And it could see me. I knew it could because at some point it turned and looked and caught my stare. And it seemed to have sort of a sinister smile. And it knew I could see it. And I just watched it walk behind my cousins, and I think maybe my sister, and some aunts and uncles. I don't remember. There's like 12 to 13 people walking around this neighborhood at the time. It was a brand new neighborhood we moved in. But I remember seeing this thing, and I knew then that it wasn't right. Something just wasn't right. I remember asking them who it was, a couple of them, and nobody seemed to know what I was talking about. Who what was. We don't know what you're talking about. The next time I recall seeing this thing, I can't tell you how much time had passed because it all runs together. I was young. I can remember being out in the yard and being pushed by one of my aunts in a swing. Everybody around here back a long time ago, when you had a family of aunts and cousins and uncle, everybody got together on the weekends, and that was just a regular thing. And I remember being pushed on the swing set, and next to my house where I lived then. It's all been cleared off now, but there was some woods and some undergrowth grew up next to where I lived. And I can remember looking over, and I remember seeing this thing again. And I remember it staring at me from the woods, from behind a tree. And I can remember the sinister grin again, the sinister smile. And at this point, I knew I had seen it maybe a couple of times, maybe 3 times. Like I said, I can't remember. But I remember the terror that this struck into me. And I remember asking whoever was pushing me, what is that? What is that over there? And this thing made no motion to hide behind anything at all. And again, they didn't see anything. They didn't see nothing. Now we'll fast forward a little further in time. I'm still very young. Haven't started school yet. Maybe if I did, it's kindergarten. This is one of the most terrifying times that I remember seeing it or her. We was having to get together at my house, and it was nighttime. And I remember having a living room full of people. I can remember that. And everybody's sitting there talking and laughing and drinking coffee and having a good time. It's probably 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm in the floor playing with whatever toys I have or whatever. And I can remember looking up, and I can remember seeing this thing sitting on the arm of a chair. And it wasn't looking at nobody else. If there were 15 or more people in that living room talking, they brought all the chairs in from the kitchen, from the dining room, people everywhere. I remember seeing this thing on the arm of the chair that somebody was sitting in, and it was looking at me. It was looking at me, nobody else. And I looked around the room, and I watched, and I knew nobody could see this, or people would be saying something, because this thing's got a horrific face. I can remember saliva dripping, running down the chin of this thing, of this woman or whatever. I remember seeing the saliva run down its chin and dripping onto its shirt and leaving big wet patches. And I can remember the grunting like you wouldn't believe. It was just seemed like something unholy. And I remember I kept looking back at it, and I'm thinking, why can't nobody see this? And I'm afraid that if I say or do something, that's going to get me, or it's going to get my parents, or something very bad's going to happen. I just remember being froze with fear that this thing, no matter where I look, when I cut my eyes back to it, it's staring holes through me, very menacing. And it terrified me as a kid. And like I say, it looked so similar to my mother. So similar, except just the deformities in its face. And I remember having nightmares after that for a long time. I remember later in life that I thought all these were dreams, and I tried to write it off as dreams. But I knew it wasn't dreams. I knew I didn't dream this thing up as a kid so many different times in my life. There's other times I can remember seeing it, but it's just bits and pieces. I remember passing by a patch of woods when I was a kid in a car. I remember looking out the window, and it was standing back in these woods, nowhere near where we live. How did it know I was going to be driving by there with my parents? So this brings me to my last encounter that I can remember with this thing. I can remember I may have been in kindergarten. We lived in, it's an old style rancher type house. I was sitting on the couch, and from where I was sitting, I could look into the kitchen and see my mom and dad in there. I think they was cooking breakfast. And it's Saturday morning, I'm getting ready to sit down and watch cartoons because I'm just a little young kid. And I can remember this thing opening the back room door of the hallway. And I remember it running down the hallway, frailing its arms like some kind of mad beast, just frailing them and grunting and screaming and screeching and just making all kinds of ungodly noise and racket. I remember being terrified. I remember looking into the kitchen and my mom and dad it never fazed them. They never heard it. Well, this thing proceeded to come down the hallway. This is my most vivid memory. And it sat down beside me on the couch. And it grunted. And I can remember seeing the saliva and even foam running off its mouth, around its mouth. I can remember the rotted black teeth. I can remember hair all matted and out of place. But at the same time, this thing scared me because it looked so much like my mother and her sisters. Well, I remember it sat down beside me and its demeanor changed. It calmed down. It wasn't screaming. It wasn't grunting. It was just looking at me. And I remember looking at it. I couldn't move with fear. I remember looking at my mother and dad. They were still in there talking, cooking breakfast. I can remember looking at this thing. And for the first time, it's almost like this thing showed compassion. Maybe not so much that. I don't know. I remember it stopped acting like something wild and evil. And as it stared and looked at me, I knew this would be the last time I would see this thing. Now, I don't know how I knew that, but I did know that. I knew I would never have to worry about seeing this again. So I felt that from inside me. I felt that message relaying to me. Now, I don't know why. I don't know how I knew that. This thing never said the first word ever. And I never did see it again. I remember it was gone from the couch. And I remember as I got older, I thought about this often. Often did I think about this. And I would think about this thing. And I got to, for a while in my teenage years, that I got to thinking this was a dream. A reoccurring dream about something. But as I've got older and in the last few years, I know better. I know it wasn't a dream. Can't remember dreams I had when I was in kindergarten. This was real. This affected me. So, I don't know. I don't know what it was. But it sure did leave an impression on me. And I've almost not wanted to tell this story because I'm afraid that I might stir it up again. I guess we'll find out. I never saw it no more. Never was visited. Never was tormented by it. Don't know. Have no idea what it was. They say children will see things. I don't know. I don't know. But I know what I told you is just the truth. That's all I know to say is to tell y'all the truth. So I got that off my chest. I've been carrying that with me since I was a kid, since I was young. It's terrified me off and on. Now, I have had dreams about it. It's been a long time growing up, but it never was the same as actually seeing it. And, you know, I may delete this video after a little while, after it lays on my heart. I don't know. Anyway, I got another story to tell you all. I'll tell it next time I get on here about a mother who lost her son in the war and the things, his ghost and stuff that happened after that. I remember that being told to me as a kid. I remember seeing the woman, and I'll get back on here and I'll tell you all that, but I thought I would dump this story on y'all tonight. Kind of unexpected. Sort of unexpected for me too. I never thought I'd tell it. The only person I ever told is my wife. And my sister. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get off from here and let y'all be. I'm gonna walk back down the road to my house here. I don't shoot these videos around my home place. The wife would kill me when she found out, so I was kind of wander off to my buddy's house and stuff. But I'll be back on here, guys, and I'll holler at you later. Y'all tell me what you think was going on in the comments down below, because I have no idea. I have no earthly idea. Has that ever happened to any of y'all? Y'all ever seen anything like that, or is it just me? Is there something wrong with me and my bloodline? Alright, guys, thanks for listening. I'll be back. See y'all later.